The super PAC, funded by the billionaire Koch brothers, has endorsed Nikki Haley in the Republican presidential primary. As seen in this photo, the deep-pocketed Americans for Prosperity group has already started its grassroots campaign for the former South Carolina governor. The endorsement also comes with a multi-million-dollar ad campaign in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and several Super Tuesday states. Does this mean anything in a race that has seemed impervious to change? CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa joins me to answer that question. In the race between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis to become the alternative to Donald Trump, how much does this endorsement from the Koch brothers' political arm, how much does it really matter?
It could be significant in giving her that lift on the airwaves and on the ground, but she's not just fending off Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. She also has to deal with former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who's making a real play in New Hampshire, trying to gain some traction with a John McCain-style campaign. And Vivek Ramaswamy remains in the race, winning over some of those Trump supporters who are not with the former president. And at the end of the day, this is potentially the beginning of a consolidation of traditional Republicans and donors around the former UN ambassador, but it's by no means a guarantee. Money doesn't also equal political capital, especially in a Republican Party still in the embrace of Trump across the board.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. Haley has this endorsement. She's been doing well in some polls, and some of the kind of anti-Trumpers have rallied around her. But might that make her the sort of top of the hill, but not the top of the whole primary? I mean, in other words, she's consolidated a group that isn't the entire Republican primary electorate.
The looming question over the Haley campaign is, okay, she could beat DeSantis. She could end up really keeping him away from the nomination. Should he do okay in Iowa or not enough to give him a jolt towards Super Tuesday? And she could emerge as the most viable alternative to Trump. But she still, in the coming weeks, will need to show voters and some Republican stakeholders that she's making a clear case against Trump, not just on electability, but potentially on policy, coming at him in different ways, because Trump, as we have seen in 2016 and 2020, is a relentless campaigner who is scathing in his remarks, has not shown up for the debate, and has so many Republican institutions around the country, state parties, largely in line with him winning the nomination again.
What's your feeling about what this means or doesn't mean to the DeSantis campaign? I mean, as the person who would like to be the alternative, the single alternative to Trump, this can't be good news. But is it a blow? Trump, of course, said it was a blow, but that might prove that actually he's worried about DeSantis and wants to do everything he can to drag him down. DeSantis
has put a lot of effort into Iowa. If he doesn't come out of Iowa, not just with a ticket to stay in the race, but a real boost that he's capable of competing with Trump and capable of pushing Haley out of the race, then it could be a difficult path ahead for him. Because if he doesn't really do well in Iowa, where he's put so much time and money, New Hampshire is a crowded race if Christie stays in, and if Haley does pretty well, and Trump's a favorite there going back to 2016. South Carolina is the home state for Haley. DeSantis has a military background, and he's been playing that up to try to be competitive in South Carolina, which has many Republican veterans in the state. But for DeSantis, Haley's donor consolidation is a real threat. That being said, Iowa remains a place he could have a showing that makes him seem like the one who's really capable of taking on Trump and maybe more aligned with the Trump voter on some key issues.
And then finally, Bob, one of the theories of this endorsement is that because less than 30% of eligible voters vote in primaries, that there's a group of Republicans who don't participate in primaries that AFP can go out and bring into the process, and thereby those voters who are often more moderate might find Haley attractive. That's a gambit. What's your theory? Do you think that's a plausible gambit?
At the same time all this is playing out, Trump will be facing legal challenges in New York, in Washington, D.C. with January 6th. So the whole grievance machine of the Trump movement will be in full swing, operational, as Haley's trying to make this pitch to those voters, maybe the country club, Rockefeller-style Republicans, those who still exist, who are on the sidelines, trying to get them come back to the Republican coalition. But she has to always keep the Trump voter in mind, even as she makes these overtures to the other. It's going to be a complicated political dance.
Tough to ride two horses. Robert Costa in Washington. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you, John.